So this is actually my wife's story. Background: in my country, we have mandatory military service for both men and women. In my wife's case, she could have skipped it because of a medical condition. She has epilepsy, but she chose to serve. This story happened during her service. The story occurs when my wife and Karen served in the same office under a direct commanding officer. Karen and my wife also bunked in the same barracks with two other women serving under a different division. In the beginning, there were no problems in the office. Then one day, my wife forgot to take her evening meds with her to work. "Commander, may I leave early? I forgot my meds and I need to take them in an hour." "You can leave in half an hour." Context: the distance to the female barracks is 20-30 minutes away, depending on walking pace. The commanding officer knew that the meds slowed my wife's motor skill. "Thank you. Karen then interrupted and said, "Hey, that's not fair. Why can she leave early?" "I need my meds." "You're lying. You just want to leave me here with all the work." The only work left was cleaning the office. "No, I'm not. I have epilepsy. I need my meds to prevent seizures." "No, you don't. You are just faking to get high." "High? Are you out of your mind? My meds suppress the brain. I do not get high. It makes me function a bit slower." Karen, being a big dum-dum, continued to complain to the commanding officer that my wife was lazy and was slow on purpose. "See? She's doing it again, using the same lame excuse so she can just stay in bed, get high, and watch movies all day long." "That's enough. Stop harassing her and get back to work before I suspend your weekend leave again." He then looks at my wife and tells her, "Leave now and don't forget the meds next time or you will be in trouble." Context: every 21 days, you get a weekend at home. Karen had been threatened with and received this punishment before for doing or saying something stupid. My wife and Karen both respond, "Yes, sir." My wife returned to the barracks that night, and the following morning, after she woke up and was getting ready, she couldn't find her meds. She asked the three other women in the barracks, "Where are my meds?" Karen, with a wide, malicious expression, "I flushed them down the toilet. Now you can't get high and have to be normal like all of us." My wife was shocked. "You did what? You idiot! I need them. It takes 3 days for my meds to arrive at the base clinic. I can't go that long without them. I'll have a seizure." "No, you won't. You're just a junkie and now you can't get high." They stop arguing because they need to get outside for the lifting of the flag. My wife arrived late at the office and the commanding officer asked why she was late. "I was looking for spare meds because Karen flushed my meds down the toilet." He got extremely angry and said, "Karen, come here right now." Karen, with a pleased expression, "What do you want?" The commanding officer, still angry and with a commanding expression, tells her, "First of all, it is yes, sir. To you, I'm not your friend. Second, are you out of your mind? Why in the world would you flush her meds? She can't function without them." "Yes, she can. She's just faking it. She's a junkie. I just helped her to get rid of her addiction." "Addiction? You jerk, these pills prevent seizures." My wife was on the verge of crying at this point. "You'll see, sir. She is just a junkie." My wife, with a prominent blood vessel pulsing on her forehead and a ghost-white complexion, said, "I don't feel so good. Sir, I need to lay down. I feel a seizure coming right now." Context: the preventative measures of the meds wear off quickly when a patient is in distress, such as an emotion like anger. "Oh, no you don't. Stand up." Karen proceeded to lift my wife off the floor. "See, she is just faking it. Just look at her." At that moment, my wife had a grand mal seizure, fell to the floor, and broke her front teeth. The commanding officer screamed at Karen to get out of the room. Karen continued to proclaim that my wife was faking and was all for show. The commanding officer then called for paramedics. They, in turn, took my wife to the hospital for medical treatment. She had to stay in the hospital for 3 days for observation and a further 2 weeks at home to rest. Karen received a court-martial and 2 weeks of military jail time. It turned into a 3-month sentence as her urine test showed weed in her sample, justly deserved. So this actually happened to my coworker, but I was there and she gave me permission to post the story, and I'm gonna do it from her perspective so it wouldn't be confusing. It was a Saturday, the day before Halloween, so we all knew it was gonna be a long shift and we would probably get a couple of crazy people. But boy, oh boy, we did not expect this level of crazy. To set the scene, our Italian restaurant is fairly small. A very small section in the front and a slightly larger section in the back where the bar and kitchen also are. Now this couple, a male and a female, walked into the restaurant. They didn't book, but that was okay as we had enough space for a few walk-ins. I greeted them and sat them down at a table in the front and asked whether they had any allergies or intolerances, as we always do when someone comes and eats here. They didn't have anything, and then I got their drink orders, but nothing else as they were still deciding what to eat. At this point, everything was pretty normal. While the drinks were being made, literally like 5 seconds after the order was put through, I went over to another table to make sure everything was all right with them, and the woman from the couple table started clicking her fingers and shouting over to me, "Excuse me, could you come here please?" I finish up with the customer and go over to the couple. "Yes. Are you all ready to order?" She goes and prattles off her order, and so does her partner. I put their order through, and luckily nothing bad happened while they waited for their meals. Their food is ready, and I bring over their starters, and as soon as the plates touch the table, I start getting asked for various things for their meal, which I was just about to offer, and it was fine. It was just the way they said it, and I was starting to get stressed out a little since I was running food, drink, and making sure the other tables were happy as well. We still don't know how it happened, but amidst all the chaos, this couple's mains comes out while they're still halfway through the starters. Another server brought the food out. This Karen calls me over again and says, "I'm not impressed with this service. I'm sorry about this mix-up. If you would like, I can take the mains back and get them redone for you so you don't have to rush and it doesn't get cold." She just gruffly says no and waves me away. I take a glance at her partner, and he's happily enjoying his main meal already. After a couple of minutes, I got called back again. "This pasta you have cooked is so dry," because I'm apparently a chef now. Once again, I say I'm really sorry about that. If you'd like, I can have the kitchen redo it, or I can get them to put more sauce on it so it's not so dry. I put my hand out in a gesture to take the bowl away, but she literally cradles the bowl. "No, just bring me some garlic butter." So I do. A few minutes later, I'm with another table near the couple, and she shouts for me, clicking and all, and seems to be in an absolute rage. "Look what I found in my food." Since I'm with another table, I just quickly say, "One moment, please," and ask the table I'm with if it's okay if I go check what's wrong there and that I'll be right back. They thankfully agree. I walk over to Karen and she says, "Look at this. It's a nut. I'm allergic to nuts." I'm a little taken aback. "Oh, well, it doesn't look like a nut. It looks like the pip of a lemon, but I'll go check if the dish has nuts in it." I know for a fact the dish doesn't have nuts in it, and there's a squeezed lemon on her plate. But before I leave her, she starts gulping down her water and is literally pretending to go into an anaphylactic shock, holding her throat and screaming at me, "You've ruined my night. You've ruined my food. It's all bland and tasteless, and it has also got nuts, and I'm allergic to nuts." She then proceeds to shove her plate at me. I take her food away and go to my manager and explain what's been happening. We take her main meal off the bill because we'd rather her just leave right now and not cause any more arguments, but just so we can cover ourselves. The manager goes over to her and tells her, "Ma'am, your main meal was taken off the bill, but what happened about the allergies is actually out of our hands since my employee asked if you had any allergies before you sat down, and you obviously withheld that information." She then started yelling, but I didn't know I was allergic to nuts until I had one. The manager wasn't having it at this point, so he just calmly and point blank said, "It was a lemon pip, though." "You have ruined my wedding night. You've ruined my anniversary. I am so disappointed, and I am never coming back here." Then they both walk out of the restaurant. But a few minutes later, the husband comes in and embarrassingly asks if he left his cardigan here. He didn't. But then says, "I'm sorry about tonight. You've been wonderful. My wife is just a little, and gestures the crazy symbol to his head, and just before he completely walks out the door to his angry, impatient wife, he smiles and says, "Thanks for trying to make a bad evening pleasant. You've been great," and he leaves. Best part is that all the tables who saw what happened took the piss out of the Karen, with one table saying, "I need my dinner discounted because I'm allergic to jerks." We all had a good laugh. Some years ago, I worked in electrical retail sales. I specialized in kitchen items, ovens, dishwashers, etc. So I called in sick one week as I got so sick. Note that this was my first time calling in sick, plus I always worked days off when I was called in. I was young at the time and the commission was good, so I had just done 3 months of constant work and only had a few days off. I went to the doctor the first day and was given a sick note for 7 days. I got back to work 5 days after resting, 2 days less than the written in the sick note, and was immediately called into my boss's office, so I sat down and saw a colleague of mine was also present as a witness. As soon as I sat down, I was immediately yelled at and accused of faking a sickness. I found out later that a rumor had started that I was job hunting. After about 30 minutes of being yelled at and called a liar, etc., he finally stopped and asked if I had anything to say for myself. I was pretty shaken and upset by this point, so I pulled out my doctor's note and slammed it on his desk and specifically pointed out that I still had 2 days left as per the sick note. I told him I quit and that I will be reporting this meeting to HR and walked out. I spent the next 2 days relaxing at home, ignoring his 10+ calls. I did return to work after the 2 days and again was immediately called into the boss's office, again with the same witness. This time, he was extremely apologetic, asking me not to escalate the incident. I flat out told him, "Screw you, and if you ever question me again, I will let HR know about our meeting." The funny thing is that later on, he ended up being the best boss I ever worked for, and I learned so much from him. So this happened to me at work yesterday. I work as a cashier at my college dorms, and it's usually a chill job. I'm alone at the cashier, and since it's the dorms, everyone has a meal plan already, which varies from having 12 per week, which reset on Sunday, having 200 on card, which can be used whenever you want, and all access, which is unlimited. So, from where I work, I can clearly see the exit gate. It's one-sided to prevent anyone from opening it and entering from the exit, but if someone is exiting, you can get in. So my job also includes just keeping an eye on it to make sure no one enters from there. It's not the biggest problem if someone does enter, but if I see it, I have to at least ask them for their card. Usually they are out of meal swipes or think they are, but I use the guest swipes they have, which is universal for them. While I was working, I saw these 2 guys walk in from the exit gate and go sit with one of their friends in the seating, not eating anything. Since my workplace requires students to swipe even though they don't eat, I don't disturb them. After 10 minutes, I see the 2 guys get in the food line and start taking food. I have to go up to them and ask, "Me, did you guys swipe in? Because I think I saw you guys coming in from the exit gate?" The guys, "Yes, we did." "Okay, can I see your card?" He shows me his card and says he swiped for the other guy as well. I asked him for the card so I could double-check with the receipt to make sure he swiped in. Cause he claimed he swiped in 20 minutes ago. He would not give me the card, and when I asked for it again, started claiming that I was harassing him while he was eating dinner and that he would complain. Usually, I have had people come in with no swipes and have let them in as well, cause we are all broke college students. In fact, even with people who come in from the exit gate, I have let it slide cause the food dorms make a lot of extra food anyway. This guy was being a jerk for no reason, and I didn't know what to say at the time. I let him go and just went up to my manager and let her know what the situation was. I took her to where he was sitting, and as soon as we approached the table, he started calling me a snitch, and that I was troubling him for no reason. My boss didn't let that slide and asked him to stop and took his card. She didn't kick him out because he was eating, but took the card to the Meal Plan Association and had them back charge his card for the meal he ate. We ran his card to make sure it was out of funds before we gave the info, just to give him one more chance. Since he was technically having 2 people on the meal card, he will get charged for twice of what he would if he was alone.